What's up, everybody? Brennan here, coming to you before the episode. Wanted to throw it out there. I appreciate everybody listening. I really do. I appreciate it more than you know. Subscribe, rate, review, tell your friends. I hope this podcast is helping you if you're going through a tough time or making you laugh, if you're bored at work, or just, I just hope you're listening. I'm just glad you're listening. If you are hearing this, then you are listening to the regular feed. This is now going to start coming out on Friday. I did start a Patreon for the podcast. If you want to support that way, that would be awesome. Trying my hardest to get out of this goddamn restaurant life so I can focus more on the podcast and comedy. Got a bunch of shows coming up, but trying to do that work-life balance right now. And got to still work that regular job. So if you want to support, you can go to patreon.com/Brennan Tassif. You'll find the podcast there. It's the same cover art, so you'll recognize it. $5 a month will get you the episodes earlier and get you a bonus episode every month with me and probably Savannah or a random guest, or moving forward in the future, hopefully some of you. If you do $15 a month, that's the only other tier. That is to become an official drinking buddy of mine, ex-drinking buddy of mine. And with that one, you'll get the bonus episode. You will get the podcast earlier. And after 6 months at that level, we're going to do a mini ex-drinking buddy, you and me. Whoever's on that level. Thomas Kennedy, I'm talking to you. Tom Kennedy, who's on that level right now. Huge shout out. Also, Joe Dorville, my very first Patreon ever. So enjoy the episode. I hope you guys are loving it. Shoot me an email. Shoot me a DM. Subscribe, rate, review. You know the deal. Anyway, thank you again so much for listening, and enjoy.
Grab me a beer and grab me a coke. We bout to sit for an hour, bullshit and tell jokes. And please don't mix it up, cause he done sobered up. Brennan T Comedy on your social media feeds. And Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. I'm your host, Brennan Tassif. If you are new to the show, I'll give you a quick rundown of the show. One of my favorite things to do when I used to drink and party and do drugs was to hang out with friends and shoot the shit and share drinking stories, party stories, getting in trouble stories. I am now sober, but I still love to hang out with people and do that same thing. So that's what this podcast is all about. I will sometimes do a solo show every once in a while, but normally I will have a guest to share in the drinking stories. And today is no different. I am joined by comedian, podcaster, life enthusiast, Dean Nimock. What's going on, man?
Doing good, man. Feeling good. It's been great the past few days here in Jacksonville. The weather's been nice, so been soaking it all in.
Yeah.
So,
Dean, you do comedy. You do stand-up comedy.
I do.
And then you also have a podcast. Go ahead, plug that. Plug everything up front.
Yeah, get it out of the way. At Dean Nimock on Instagram. I think it's Jerron Nimock on Facebook. Mostly Instagram stuff. And then we got the Relatables podcast, which is soon to be the Gray Pride podcast.
All right, so we're going through a rebrand.
We're going through a rebrand.
You do that with Zach Malcolm.
Zach Malcolm, long time, probably my longest friend to date.
Your hetero life mate.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
hetero
that's a Jay and Silent Bob thing.
Huh. Okay, I like that.
Yeah. So you started doing the podcast before you started doing comedy, correct? Or did you kind of do them at the same time?
Yeah, kind of. Probably they were a few months apart, but we started doing the podcast and then kind of bullied each other into getting into comedy.
Yeah, how did that? Because you've been doing it for how long now?
Probably like 2.5-ish years.
God, I remember when you were I remember your first show.
Yeah, those were interesting times, especially through the pandemic, and now Rain Dog's coming full circle again and stuff like that. It's been interesting.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was a couple years ago. Got started. We kind of were both clowning each other about getting into it.
Yeah, how did that whole thing happen? Because I'm that's one of the things I always talk about with everyone on the show, whether they're actors or musicians. I'm always so fascinated with like, how do you get into that? Because not a lot of people do. It's a very small percentage of people who get into it, and then to actually keep pursuing it. So how did that happen?
We lived close together in like middle school, so we'd ride the bus together.
Okay.
And like I have distinct memories of us like sharing earbuds and like listening to comedy specials on the way to and from school.
Okay.
It's like we both were like super into comedy, listening to like Dave Chappelle and like Pablo Francisco
Yeah,
and like
I love
like
Pablo, man.
like old specials. So like we both kind of had an ear for it. We were both kind of class clowns in our own way, and then we kind of just started bullying each other and like, dude, one of us has got to do this.
Yeah.
And I think he did it first.
Was this at the Rain Dogs open mic?
No, at Hourglass, same as Topher. That place seems like that 1 minute speed comedy thing. It's just it's just not intimidating enough to feel like I can bomb for a minute. Like I don't have to like sit in it too long.
That's true.
So like that was the first time. It was enough to like
I can bomb for a minute. This is fine.
Yes, the next guy's gonna be up. You're gonna see 6 other people struggle. So like I didn't feel too bad about it.
Yeah.
But like didn't do awesome. But it was enough to just like kind of like getting punched in the face and realize you're not going to die.
Yeah.
It was just enough to be like, oh, okay.
I love that analogy. Yeah, it's like I've compared it to when I played football. It's like you're nervous before a game, and then you get that first hit, and you're like, oh, yeah, I do this all the time.
Right.
Like,
this isn't too bad. Like, it's just kind of silent sometimes, and it wasn't as funny as I thought it was going to be, but it's not like...
Isn't that the worst?
It's the worst. It's hard to describe to people. Like, the intimacy you have with your own thoughts, and it's like, I'm being so vulnerable sharing this with you, and you meet me with nothing.
Exactly. That's what I tell people all the time. Like, sometimes they're like, oh, you should always, like, I don't know. Like, it's just that exact fact where it's like, no, this is me.
Right, I'm sharing this.
Yeah.
Like, I thought this was funny enough to tell a group of strangers.
Yeah.
Not because I thought I was going to, like, this was fun bombing. Like, I thought this was...
Yeah, nobody gets on stage like, I'm going to fucking... Sometimes I do. Sometimes, like, if a crowd's being, like, kind of shitty, I'm like...
Or just lean into it.
Yeah, I'm going to be like, oh, I'm going to fucking tear this room apart with, like, people dying of heroin overdoses and suicide.
Right,
like,
okay.
You guys want to be difficult. We'll be difficult.
We'll get dark with it.
Yeah. But that's so weird that you say that, because there are certain comics, be it in this scene or just around, where they do a lot of, like, you know, pussy, fart, dick, and it's like, you're not, like, I understand, like, you're being punchy, and that's funny, and you're being silly, but it's like you're not sharing anything.
No.
And so if you bomb in
Low
that
risk.
situation, yeah, exactly,
Right.
exactly. There's
Nobody
nothing...
thought you weren't funny, just the fart jokes aren't working.
Yeah, exactly.
But, like, if you tell a personal story and at the end you get nothing, like, you don't want to tell that story anymore.
Ever again. Ever again. You know? Not even to your friends or family. So you guys bully each other into it. You do the Hourglass 1 minute speed round.
Yeah.
And then were you hooked? Were you kind of, you said
I was pretty hooked.
This isn't that bad, or?
I mean, I wasn't hooked off rip, but, like, I was pretty, like, it's not that bad, and I feel like I like the challenge of it.
Yeah.
I feel like conversationally, I always felt very funny. In terms of, like, my groups of friends, I was always, like, the funnier person. But that's just kind of shooting the shit.
Yeah.
But, like, channeling it to an on-stage, like, y'all don't get the context of this thing me and my friends have had for 5 years. I can't just, like, say this one-liner and everyone kind of giggle.
There is something that I was told a long time ago, and as a storyteller, I value it very much so. It's that if you ever have to say the phrase, I guess you just had to be there, never do that on stage.
Right, yeah,
ever.
yeah. You're just...
If you ever have to think to yourself, it was really funny, but you had to be there, fucking run from that premise. Yeah. Run away from it.
That was the challenge.
Because no one was there.
Right, no one's going to get it, and you're just going to feel like you're, like, sympathy, like, please understand me. Like,
oh, God. So you guys, so not right away, but you kind of got into it. And I know you have a bit about, like, doing the music thing and the athlete. Was that true, though? Did you always want to do a performative, like, entertainment thing?
I always felt some kind of, like, entertainment thing, whether it was, like, an athlete or playing sports or something just not mundane. I feel like I'd always done.
Okay.
But I feel like this has kind of been a channel to where, like, it's entertainment, but you're also kind of just being yourself on stage. So it's not like you're kind of going too far out of your wheelhouse to, like, I mean, it is learning a skill, but it's not like I'm learning a skill. It's kind of like people just like me because they like me. Yeah,
and that's one of the things too, is that I've had this conversation, I forget who it was with, but we were talking about on the podcast how, like, some people have a character on stage, and my whole thing is, like, I play up this persona that is Brennan, but it's still me. It's,
Right.
It's notched up a little bit.
It's performance, but
yeah, but it's still who I am. It's still how I think. It's still the views that I have on things. So it's like you're saying, it's like you have to learn stage presence would be a skill you have to learn.
Right, yeah.
Delivery. But you're just being you.
Right. I'm just kind of channeling this kind of environmental thing to like, I just need to make it funny for a stage.
Yeah.
And make everyone get it.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of got hooked on in the beginning. Like, man, I know I'm funny, but this was harder than I thought.
Yeah.
And I need to figure out how to take that funny and channel it to this like random strangers.
Yeah, that's always especially when you go up and you're like, oh, they'll get it. And then your first couple jokes, you're like, they don't get it.
They're not getting it.
They're not getting it. They're not getting it.
Yeah. Oh man.
Because I've been in rooms with you before, and I love your stuff, especially some of the stuff you do about like sports, because it's such a unique take. And it's like shit where I do a sports podcast, and I was like, fuck, I didn't even think about that. And you hear me dying in the back, and then like some people are like looking around, and they're either like, oh, too soon, or they're like, oh, like I don't get it. And it's like, how do you not get it?
Right. Yeah. That's the gamble. It's like a sweet science of the gamble, because like I feel like kind of my style of comedy is letting that last little bit you tell yourself the end of the joke. Like I don't give the full thing. So it's like, how can I give the lady who doesn't watch sports and her boyfriend who loves sports the same joke, but I know he's going to get it off rip, but I need to explain it to her without losing him because I'm talking to, like, it's just this weird, but I don't know. It's a weird thing. It's definitely
fun,
a weird,
though.
yeah, it's definitely fun.
So you always thought I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna be in front of people. And when I only say that to preface, when you were hanging out with your friends and you were always the funniest guy, when you came to Hourglass, like when you started doing it, was your whole thing like, I'm just gonna like kind of write down the stuff I say around my friends that they laugh at, or did you genuinely think like, oh no, I have to sit down and actually start writing stuff?
It was a mix between the two.
Okay.
It was like I had funny moments with my friends, but I knew that I couldn't just tell that story.
Yeah,
so I needed
that's what
to
you were
kind of
saying.
chop it up to make it deliverable.
Okay.
But I did write a little bit, but it wasn't like I made a 1 minute set for Hourglass.
Yeah.
But like I kind of did pull some stuff together, but I don't feel like I ever wanted to really be the limelight person.
Yeah.
Like I always kind of was like me and Zach's dynamic was funny because he was always like the more attractive one, and I was like the funny friend.
Yeah.
So like I was always comfortable, like you go get him, and I'll swoon in behind him and make him laugh.
Clean. Yeah.
So like that was kind of like I'm way comfortable being in the back. So like being the stand-up thing was kind of putting yourself forward and trying to lean into like making yourself presentable. Yeah. Where I was very comfortable, like look at him, and I'll just
look at him, and then I'll snipe you with some zingers over here.
Yeah.
Damn. So I wanted to kind of ask you about not only with the pandemic and everything, but you obviously, like you said, you started the podcast. So were you in your head like, this is what I want to do, or do you kind of just do it for like what's your ultimate goal as far as just like with comedy, especially because only reason I ask is because I've had a lot of people on in the pandemic's kind of opened their eyes like, oh, I'm gonna do it, like it's a fun thing to do, but I'm not gonna like push super hard. And then I've had other guests on who have pushed super hard and kind of were like, all right, I'm cool where I'm at now.
Right.
Like, because I think you're obviously, I think all my guests are funny, but I think you're hilarious. And so it's interesting to me because you do the podcast. You and Zach are kind of like a tandem.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are always together. Well, not always, but a lot of times you guys are together. So do you like see yourself like trying to blow up the podcast, or do you want to move out of Jacksonville, or are you just kind of running the Jacksonville scene for
a
right
little
now?
bit of kind of full circle everything. We were, when I first got into it and probably like a year into it, I was like, I feel like I need to like get serious about something. I've done a lot of like just stuff and hobbies and picked up stuff, but this was when I was like, I like the knack I have for this and I want to get good at it. And then me and Zach were both kind of feeling that way. So we were almost like a year before the pandemic. It was like, we're going to move to California.
Oh,
We're
okay.
gonna figure it out.
So you guys are like, let's fucking go.
Like, let's do it. And then the pandemic happened right as both of our leases ended.
Yeah.
And we were like, we don't need to go to the locked down state. So let's just stay in the state that's kind of cool. So we like got a new lease and like have been enjoying the Jacksonville thing and kind of feel like looking back, I wasn't ready to just move out there as like ripe. I just enjoy comedy but not good at comedy. Let's just jump in the water.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there are other open micers out there who are doing the same thing. They don't just start good out there, but like the mindset I had out there was like, all right, I've done open mics in Jacks. I'm gonna go out there and do fucking shows.
Yeah,
and I was just like, I wasn't ready.
I've been doing it 10 years, and I had that same mindset about New York. And I was talking to Jake last week, and he's like, "That is not how that works."
No, yeah, like looking back, I was like, okay, I'm so glad I didn't just like jump in like we knew what the fuck we were doing. Yeah. So like, it's been nice being in Jacksonville and feeling like, okay, we need to like develop as Jacksonville people before we think like a Jacksonville open mic is like, all right, I've done comedy before.
Yeah,
5.
I got it, guys.
Yeah.
When was the first time that you do you remember the first time that you got on stage and just like we talk about crushing stories a lot because that's fun, but my favorite thing to talk about is when was the first time you got on stage and you were like, oh, I don't know if I like this anymore. Have you had that moment?
I've had very close to those moments, but probably the closest one was at Brews, and it was for a showcase.
Okay.
And it was Brews after
Bombing
it was
stories
Dahlia's.
are my favorite.
Yeah, it was Brews after it was Dahlia's, so it didn't have the same atmosphere, and it was up by the window where like it's just a movie theater behind you. There's everything that you don't want to look at a comedian for is right there for you to look at.
Yeah, and for those of you who are listening, Dahlia's was almost like it was a bar, but they had like a little speakeasy almost in the back.
It was perfect.
And it was so conducive for comedy. I know you've heard Crespo talk about it on this show. It was literally one of the most comfortable rooms because it only fit like 30 people, 40 people.
Right. You knew you wanted to be back there if you were back there.
Yeah. And then if you didn't want to be back there, you could go out to the front and play pool and drink. But the people who were back there wanted to watch the show.
Yeah.
And it was very like intimate, like you were right on top of the people.
Yeah.
So it was the perfect room to work stuff out in because there was always people in there.
Yeah.
And so you could really get a feel for.
And you got an intimate feel. It's not like a far crowd where like they can kind of distance themselves from you working stuff out. Like even if it's bad, they're gonna look at them and be like, "Yeah, that wasn't the best."
Exactly. You could see someone kind of cringe, or you could see someone. Even if you said something and they had like a little smirk, you could be like, okay.
Yeah,
like you could see that. Yeah.
But other places you didn't get that vibe.
Like Rain
from.
Dogs, the light's right in your face, so you can't see shit.
Right.
So you're just like, let's
you're
go.
Bombing in the dark and
bombing in the dark. So then they got bought out. The owner sold it, and then they turned it into this very, I don't know how you'd put it, like almost
draft bar.
Yeah, but it was like
taps.
Super clean, like metal everything. Everything was modernized. There you go. And then they decided, well, we're going to turn the room in the back into a station for our brewing and our kegs, and we'll just do the comedy show out front. So just to set the scene for the listener. So you go there, you're doing a showcase.
Yeah, doing a showcase. One of the first showcases back in that
I think
venue,
I was at the show.
They were like, yeah, let's just try to do a show. And it was one of the ones that like I wasn't super excited about, but I had posted on my social media like, hey, come out. I've got a show. And like a couple of like my closer friends.
Oh, no.
Not even closer, but like cooler friends. So, like I don't care about a coworker and stuff, but like this was one like, I think you're cool. Yeah. And if you're coming to my show, thank God. Like, and they came out to that one. And it was probably like them two, the other two comedians, the bartender, and maybe a couple other people. Yeah. So it wasn't like, damn, Dean's really pulling for this comedy thing. It was like, Dean's doing comedy, huh? So like, that was the vibe of the room. Yeah. Go up, and like the room is so open and empty that like there's no feel to get into. Yeah. There's no like they're sitting so far away from me that like I'm almost kind of yelling to them to get it, and if they do giggle, I didn't hear them giggle, so I'm just looking at wide eyes. So like unless you get a punch, like I'm just kind of going, and I rambled, and I ended up doing like 2 minutes of my set, and then be like, this isn't working, and then just started doing like not a ramble, but just say funny things. Yeah, like I'm not doing set stuff anymore. I just need to like make this guy laugh. Yeah. So that was a skill that I developed from that bomb. That was probably like one of the first early bombs. Yeah. Like
and you were kind of like, oh God.
Yeah, if it's not working, I need to be able to fucking on the fly this.
Yeah, and see, that's one of the things. You're good at it. Baker's good at it. If he doesn't get too angry, Will's really good at it. Will's probably the best at it. Yeah. But it's that, hey, we're gonna do like crowd, like I'm gonna go into you because you're heckling, but I'm gonna make it fun. Right. Marcus and I have talked about
seamlessly gets back into his material.
So seamless. Yeah. But Marcus and I talk about this all the time because Marcus is better at it than I am because he's been doing it more consistently and a lot longer. But my thing is like, if you're trying, like I'm loud, and if you're trying to talk over me, that means you're yelling. And that I cannot abide. So like instead of being like, oh, like ha ha ha, jokey, I'm like, shut the fuck up. I'll fucking kill you. Like, are you out of your mind?
Yeah.
Do you not hear what I'm talking about up here?
Yeah.
And that immediately the audience is like, ooh, we don't like this guy anymore.
Yeah. That was one of the early things too. Like you learn, like I got to be likable.
Yeah.
And as soon, like you can get into it, but as soon as you say that one thing that like kind of makes you look like an asshole, like damn it, you're not going to be as funny.
Well, that's the thing is like I don't know about you, but I teeter on the likable, unlikable because I can get up there and be goofy and fun, but the second I snap, it's like, look at this. Another fucking straight white guy with all the privilege in the world fucking screaming at us. What an asshole. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably right about that. I know what I look like. So that's why I always try to address it early about like the look like a cop and all those different bits. But sometimes they just don't want to like, especially in Riverside, you get some of those people that are just like
very progressive.
We are not going to laugh at anything
you represent the patriarchy.
Exactly. And it's like, we're not going to laugh at anything you say. And I make fun of, my entire set is me making fun of myself, but it's like, they're still just like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Next. And I'm like, how do you not? Like, come on. Like,
yeah, that's the worst. Where it's like, you're just being stubborn now.
Yeah. Now you just don't want to laugh because you're being an asshole.
Yeah.
And so I noticed that, like, and because sometimes you have material where it can get kind of dark, and I don't know, like, if you've ever experienced where, like, the crowd will turn on you, and then you're like, I thought we were having fun here, guys.
Yeah. That actually happened at Rain Dogs, like, 2 days ago.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I was working on this, like, Trump bit, and it didn't go how I thought it would.
Well, oh, God.
But, yeah.
It did not go how I thought it'd go.
I, like, ended up, like, walking to people, and it was like, oh, okay. But, like, it was weird because I don't know. I like talking to comedians about it because they can see the subtle stuff of like the skill behind what you're doing. You're not just going up there and doing 5 minutes. I can see you're front loading the likability part and then getting into your material or setting up something later or like, okay, like you're addressing this later because like, so you can kind of finesse where, or like, damn, this is going to be fucking loud. How is Brennan going to get up here and like kind of take, or is this really quiet? Like how is Brennan going to like meet them?
Yeah,
there?
blow
like,
them out.
You kind of see the subtlety of like, this is going to be a different kind of room than other rooms, or maybe they all are laughing way too hard, and then you got to slow your shit down because everyone.
That's another skill like we're talking about. Where it's like, oh God. Because I've done that before where I've just stepped up. You're so good about like, no, I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna wait.
That's what I've been trying to like see everybody else is good and pick up on small pieces of like, damn, I need to get better at like coming in and sweeping it like Marcus. I need to get better at writing like Jamar. I need to get better at heckling like Will. I need to get like all those little pieces of watching everybody like go. I'm like, damn, that's a good one. That's really good. Like,
because you even have some jokes now, and I know you've said it before, but you'll say like that's a car ride home joke. Like, you'll get that on. But I'm so envious of it because for me, my defense is like if a joke doesn't work, I immediately bulldoze right into the next thing, which sucks because sometimes the joke works. It just takes them a second to get it.
Or sometimes it's not every joke is supposed to be a standing ovation.
Yeah, exactly.
Some jokes are supposed to be like a kind of a smirk of like, damn, that was pretty fucking clever.
Yeah.
And like you don't really get a laugh, but it's like this guy's funny without you having to like,
because then that gets them on your side. Like, oh, I wonder what else he's gonna say.
Yeah.
Probably the worst heckle I ever got was I did the consequences bit in Orlando, and
give me more than
the consequences bit about like there needs to be more consequences in life for smaller things. And I did that bit. I did that bit at I don't know if you've been to Aromas yet.
I have.
Okay, so I did that bit. You have. I was at that show. Duh. I did that bit at Aromas the first night there. Some dude at the bar goes, "Man, that's fucking brilliant." And like everyone laughed, and I was like, and I looked at him, I go, "You're probably the guy who doesn't tip." And it crushed. So now I'm at Broken Strings Brewery in Orlando. Shout out to the Orlando scene, and I'm bombing. And Jake Ricca was there. We just had him on the podcast. Christoph Jean, who I'm going to get on the pod. Like Orlando comics that I respect and admire.
Right, the worst people are there.
Yeah, like you're saying, like the cool friend from work.
Yeah,
and dude. Fucking ate a dick. I went up like 13th. Jake went up right before me. Jake crushed. Crushed. It was an open mic. There's people there, but he got everyone to laugh. Yeah, he brought it back, and I'm like, all right, man. Thanks for setting him up. I'm gonna knock him down. And then I went up there and I opened with the suicide bit about the uncle and smoking and stuff, and just nope. And then I was like, okay, that's a little dark. It's a little dark to open with. I'll lighten it up. So then I did a couple other bits, and it's all these
Darker ones, or like brought it back?
I kind of was a little resentful, so I went into the heroin dick pic joke, which is even
Okay,
darker.
yeah.
And then I tried to bring it back. I tried to save it with like the fitness stuff that I talk about.
Okay.
But they were already like, nope, we're out. And it's a bunch of well-adjusted like people, like normal, well-adjusted people.
Right, not with sadness in their heart.
Yeah, and some of the stuff I talk about, it's like suicide and
stuff.
murder, and yeah. I always say the joke, like I'm the guy at the comedy workshop, like yeah, it's funny, but where's the murder suicide? And I did that bit, and a lady, like to my right, stage right, so she's basically on
Behind
stage
you
with
almost.
me, like kind of like right next to me. She giggled at the suicide joke, so I turned to her, like, huh? That's good, and like louder than me, she goes, yeah, I mean, it makes you think, but it's not funny. And the whole audience was just like, oh, shit.
Oh.
And that's probably at that moment when I finished the set. And then I tried to do the scar. I got lit. And then I was like, I have to save this. I'll do the scar story. That's my big closer.
Yeah, that's the worst.
It's a 4-minute story.
Then you have to have people buy in and then come back.
But I panicked and I got the light. And I was like, I'll save it with the scar story. And I'm like, you don't have time.
How far did you cut everything out of it?
Yo,
Or did you do
yeah.
it?
I basically jumped from like I played college football and I have this weird scar on my face because I cut my whole
the
face
shirts.
open.
Yeah, cut all the shirts out.
Yeah,
and everything.
yeah. Did the like basically cut it like down to nothing, and then I was like,
Did it save it?
No, I cut everything out. That story's based on building.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, and that was the word, and it was funny because the earlier when we were recording the podcast, Jake was like, hey man, you got to do Shit Sammy. Are you going to be in town for Shit Sammy tomorrow? Shit Sammy, like you should come out. Like Heather's hosting, like we'll totally get you on the show. Like if you're in town, we'll get you on the show. After that bomb, literally as we're walking out the parking lot, Christoph and Jake are like, have a safe trip back to Jacksonville, man.
No.
Have a safe trip. And my whole thing was, you know me, I was like, wait, what about Shit Sammy tomorrow, right? Shit Sammy?
I think it's gonna rain.
They were like, I thought you said you had to go home. And I mean, you know, bless their heart, but it was the worst bomb I've ever had.
Oh
So
man.
you just made me think of that when you were talking about Bruce, because it's like, no, this is gonna work, and then it doesn't, and you're like, I hate my life.
Yeah, I mean, those are the ones where, like, I don't know, just when I think back, I would have been like, damn. Like, if I would have sat in that moment after she said that, I would have been like, oh, fuck.
I just didn't know what to do. Like,
I would have just been like, dude, welcome to my TED Talk.
yeah,
Like, this is
I
supposed to be
should've-
fun.
Yeah,
Like, fuck it. We're just doing facts now.
I could just go into like AA literature and
Yeah,
stuff.
dude, really
My name
dark
is
stuff.
Brennan. I'm an alcoholic. Everyone would have been like, wait, what's he doing?
Was she heckling anyone else either?
No. She was laughing at
So,
every-
like, she got the point.
She laughed at me. The first joke. She was the only one who laughed.
Like, you're like, you're with me.
Yeah, that's why I turned to her. I thought we were on the same team. And then she just
Help
like,
me.
James Harden and Houston on me. Like, yeah, we're on the same team. We're on the same team. Boom, we're not on the same team anymore. Damn. Like, oh, man. But speaking of dark comedy and death and suicide and stuff, you sent me a list of some stories. Now, I have no idea what this means, but it just says life or death.
Oh. So I've made the bullets super. That's how I write notes. It's how I write my comedy notes.
I'm the
because
same way.
It'll spark something in me and I can go with it. But
I'm literally the same way. Like, my set list is just like 2 words. I tell stories, but my set list is literally
right,
2
I don't need
words.
the whole story. I know the story. I
Yeah.
just need to remember what the story was about.
Yeah, exactly.
But like life or death, I just remember being one of the dumbest fucked up games me and my friends used to play.
Oh, that's a game?
It's a game, less of a game. Basically, when you're drunk, almost blackout drunk, it was basically us driving home from whatever party we're at.
Oh my god!
And just
Less
running,
of a game. You were
running
right on
through
that.
red lights and stop signs and just screaming life or death. It was one of those.
You played this or did this?
Did this? No, you don't play. You don't play.
Yeah.
You don't play fighting. You don't play life or death. You just do it. But it was just one of those things. Like looking back, like why? It just seems so
God,
like
that-
not slow. Just like we're going 60 and we're not slowing down through 60. We're just going through
Oh
a
my
red light going 60.
God,
Like it wasn't smart.
this. Oh my god, this just took a. I'm always down for like noir, dark. Like, let's get dark, man. This really just. I just got a feeling in the pit of my stomach. Like, oh,
and I've like
God.
had people get in car accidents and like lost
Yeah,
friends in
that's
cars.
what
It's just
happens.
Like, looking back, I was like, what?
God. So you guys used to like just drunk, blackout drunk, just like let's do it.
Drunk driving, everybody's in the car, one person's driving, they're just like life or death. life or death, life or death, life or death, life or death.
How old were you guys when you were doing this?
Like junior, sophomore.
Yeah.
Yeah, like high schoolish.
Okay.
Like not supposed to be drinking, not being able to handle alcohol.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and it's weird that you say that because that jogs something in my memory. I had my sister's old Ford Mustang when I was in high school, and I used to drive like 119 because the governor would kick on at 119.
that's how I know.
I used to exactly couldn't get it up to 120. I used to drive home from school on 95 at 119, just in and out, Fast and the Furious style. Just it's so the stupid shit we would do like as teenagers. It's
Right.
like, what the fuck? I don't go more than 80 now.
Yeah, the people pass going like 5 over me. I'm like, dude, I'm in the fast lane.
Yeah,
You're
like-
going fast.
Yeah.
Like,
But oh my god, that
yeah, that was one
that's
of
like
the
a
dumber ones.
real because a lot of us know that obviously it's nobody should drink and drive, and
Absolutely
I've got
not.
enough DUIs to prove that. But not only that, but it's just like it's like a blend of like God, that's like idiotic, but it's like it's funny, but it's also like that's terrifying.
That's in the moment, it's the coolest thing.
Yeah.
When you're all drunk with your buddies and everyone's getting hyped about life or death, it's so fun.
God.
But as soon as you like sober up and the next day you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, or 10 years later on a podcast, and
Right,
you're
you're just like,
what?
whoa, I hope my kids never think to do that. Like, that's crazy.
God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that
I'm
was-
like visibly like shaken by that. I thought it was going to be something like, and it's weird because I'll have people on here and we'll talk about like overdosing and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's like, but that happened to you. It's like, no, you were in like a steel 3,000-pound missile.
Death
just
trap
fly-
with your friends.
Yeah.
Like, that's, and
God.
then thinking back, you're thinking like, that's never the phone call I'd want my parents. Like, what happened? He
Dude,
was,
yeah.
all 4 of them were way over the intoxication limit and are
Just
crushed
flying,
up into
yeah.
a fucking like can over by the tree over there. Like,
Oh my God.
that's
Well,
those are one of those times looking back. Like, the reason why I never got super fucked up when I was a kid was I never wanted my parents to be like, oh yeah, we found him at a party, or like,
Yeah.
just I never like wherever I was doing that, I was like, this isn't the place I'm dying. This isn't it.
that's actually I like the way you say that because that's exactly how I've felt before. It's like this is it. This is where I'm
Yeah,
gonna go
this is-
out.
no.
no,
Yeah.
I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
I'm not. And I had Jake Claude on here, a friend of mine from Daytona. He's a rapper out in LA now. But we talked about like one night at a La Quinta Inn, like me getting like blackout drunk because he used to date my sister, so we had this hotel party, and I just got like fucking wasted. And he's telling me about it, and I was like, yeah, I don't really remember that, but that's the exact the thing. It's like I'm gonna die at a La Quinta Inn in Daytona, like not even during anything, like not spring break or bike week, just a random Thursday. Like this is how I'm gonna go out.
Yeah. It's like, this isn't it.
Oh my God.
I gotta make better decisions. Like,
Well, we're gonna get into some better decisions, but probably not great decisions.
Yeah.
So you were talking about your parents and how that's not how you ever wanted to get found. You did get caught by your mom once.
This is one of the funnier stories of getting caught because it was one of the like more reckless times I was with my friends. Like,
Yeah.
having a black
There's
family.
you can't say more reckless. There's nothing more reckless than life and death. But one of
That's true. That's
one of the
that's
one of
pretty
the
true.
reckless times with my friends.
Yeah, that's true. But no, like having a black family, we were never the house that people came over to. So
Okay.
It's not like we don't have the sleepovers. Like, we go to your church trips. I
Dean's
stay at
black
your
for
house.
everybody listening.
Yeah, if you haven't heard from my voice, trust me. But but like
I wanted to say.
But no, like my family, like nobody came over to my house. Like,
Okay.
growing up, my house was the mystery. My parents were the mystery. Like, they dropped me off at practice, they picked me up from school. That was about it.
Damn, that's kind of shitty.
So like when I got into high school, I for some reason thought it would be a good idea one time, like when my parents were gone, to have like people over. And, like,
Okay.
try to be the cool, like, damn, we always go to your parents. Your parents are so cool. We can always
Yeah.
party at your house. Like, okay, everybody come over to my house and we can chill and party.
Yeah.
And like my parents came home, or specifically my mom came home.
Oh,
And
so they were supposed to be gone?
they were supposed to be gone and they came home.
Were they on like a trip or were they like
It was
just out to dinner?
It was just an event that was supposed to be longer. I don't remember where
Okay.
she was supposed to be, but she wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
So like the way the house was set up is I could see her coming into the driveway, but my room was like the front of the house. So we're all hanging out in my room, and I see headlights.
So is this a big party or just a few people?
It's kind of like my close friends, but we're smoking and drinking inside.
Okay.
So I knew we weren't supposed to have. We were supposed to have the house for the night because I was doing that inside.
Yeah.
So like,
so you knew you had a timetable in your head.
So when I saw headlights, I'm like, oh shit. So I like panicked, got everybody to like scurry out the back door.
Okay.
The timing is like a movie. Like she's getting like hearing the car door slam. I'm trying to straighten up everything in my room.
You know you've got like 30 to 45 seconds.
Yeah, like people are rushing through the back. Like people get through the back door, make it out of the back patio, and as my mom is opening the front door, I'm the last one out. And I hear her close the front door, and I hear also all of my friends jumping the fence. And the funny part is, as they're jumping the fence, it's like a double slatted fence.
Okay.
So they're snapping every top piece off the fence.
Dude, are you serious?
Because they're just like frantically trying to get over this fence.
They
in the
don't
dark,
care. They're just,
and they're just snapped. So like my mom hears it.
It's easier to explain a broken fence than it is a bunch of people in the house.
Right. But also, I'm watching people jump out of my backyard, is what my mom's thinking. So like, I don't know if like this is me being high end drunk at the time. I jump. We both go. Everybody's outside, like around the corner at the end of the neighborhood. Of course, I get a phone call from my mom. Hey, where are you? What's going on? I'm like, whoa, what? I didn't even expect you to be home. Where are you?
I'm not at the house. Look at my room. I'm not there. Am I, mother?
Yeah, I'm not home. And she's like, oh, okay. Well, you need to get home. And then, like, as soon as I got home, like, I remember being sober enough to try to lie, but drunk enough to fuck it up.
Yeah.
And like,
dude, that's a perfect tag, man.
And just being like, I don't know what happened.
That's the new shirt, man. Sober enough to lie, but drunk enough to fuck it up. New merch coming soon.
Yeah, like, I just remember trying to lie and be like, man, I just got home. I don't know. I guess some people were in the backyard. Some of my friends came over, and they got scared because you left. I wasn't here. I don't know what were they doing here. And she's like, the house smells like alcohol and weed. I was like, what? And then, like, she drug tested me that night on the spot.
Are you serious?
Yeah, she was like, I have a drug test. You can just take it. And I remember this was also sober enough to lie, but young enough to fuck it up, calling my friends who were at that place and being like, yo, my mom's drug testing me. Are any of y'all have clean piss? And none of the people I was hanging out with had clean piss.
Obviously.
So, obviously.
Yeah, they're like, we're just with you.
So I call one of my friends that I'm not close with, but I know he doesn't do drugs or alcohol.
Yeah.
And I end up convincing him to come over to my house on like a 15-minute, like, you need to be here now.
Yeah.
Pissing the bottle on the way. Come here now. Him parking like 2 houses down, like creeping up to my house, passing it through my window.
Yeah, the window.
And
I was going to say, because you're in the
urine
front.
test for my parents. Not even like a job. Like for my mom.
Oh, so did it work?
It did work.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, to get out of this such an obvious lie.
Yeah.
Like,
what does your mom do?
She's a doctor. She obviously knew I was lying. Like, we talked about it later.
Oh,
It's like, yeah,
I didn't know your
lying.
mom was a doctor.
Yeah, she was like, I let you stumble all over yourself. But, like, yeah, it was
They let
terrible.
women be doctors?
Oh, man, black women, too. That's tough. That's tough, Brennan.
I'm sorry. You teed it up. I had to hit it out. What's your mom a doctor of, if you don't mind my
She's
asking?
been a little bit of everything. When I was going
Okay.
through school, she did family practice. But, like, before I was born, she delivered babies. She's done hospice. She's done ER. She's
Holy
done
shit.
surgeries. Yeah, she's kind of gone through the whole gambit. Now she's kind of on, like, the tail end and doing, like, online stuff and doing like military like contracts and
props. Shout out to your mom, man.
And
That's
actually on board
awesome.
with CBD and weed and legalization of marijuana. She's like trying to get into that like
is she?
medical weed too. So
did she have the same mindset back then? Like
no.
did she?
She was like my mom then. She was like, don't do any of that stuff. But like now as we're adults, she's like, yeah, I can. There's medicine behind it and there's science and stuff
Now
like
there's
that. My
more
dad has a
evidence,
weed card and she like
gave
it to him. Like didn't give it to him. Like she was like, you can get a weed card.
Careful.
Use your little ointments and shit. But that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. So did you growing up, because you said you were, the black family, nobody ever came over and stuff. Did you guys ever have like, did your parents ever like do the trope kind of discipline, like beat the shit out of you
absolutely.
or belt you and
Absolutely.
stuff? Yeah. Okay.
There was like the normal stuff. Like,
I was so hoping you're gonna be like, no, never did any of that.
no, that's like the contrast of like I still grew up in Mandarin. Don't get it twisted. We lived very nicely.
Yeah.
But like we still had all the normal black stuff of like they didn't grow up in Mandarin. They grew up in Mississippi and like Kansas City. So like they didn't give a shit about that. That was They were like, we're gonna make you better. Like people made us better.
Well, it's funny because we were watching that. We were on TikTok, like it's a fucking show. Savannah and I were looking at TikTok, and there was the funniest TikTok. It was a black dude with his white girlfriend, and it was like, say these phrases that as you heard them when you grew up. And it was like, if your parents disciplined you, and I go, oh, that's a whooping. And then the guy says whooping, and then the girl goes spanking, and I was like, what is what is happening? And then it was like, someone releases gas, and he goes farting, and I was like, yeah, it's farting, and the girl goes toots, and I was like, what the? So your friends were the toots girls?
Yes, yeah.
But you were still like living like a regular life.
Yeah. So there was kind of like that contrast, but it was interesting. Like, I definitely had it nicer growing up in Mandarin, but it wasn't like I could relate to all of my Mandarin friends because they kind of didn't have that background.
Did you ever feel like, not ostracized, that's the wrong word. Did you ever feel like weird or different?
All the time.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, growing up in Mandarin, you're the whitest black kid everybody knows. It's like, Dean's not that black. Like, it's
Shout out to Jason Harmon. I used to say that joke about, he was a tight end on our team back in the day, and I used to say that I'm like, dude, you were the whitest black person I've ever met in my life.
It's a victim of the culture.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was about it. But like, you kind of just see both sides. Like, growing up on that side, you kind of see the ignorance of how people that way are brought up. It's not like intentional, but then you get like your parents being like, you got to be twice as bad as everybody else.
Yeah.
And like, you're never going to get a good break, and like, you got to work hard. And it's just like, yeah, I get kind of where this is coming from kind of thing.
Because they grew up in a much harsher environment.
Right. So like, they kind of teach you like, dude, you got to really, and then I'm going to school and I'm like, people don't really do that anymore. Like, everyone seems kind of cool.
Well,
so
I love these kind of conversations because I had a mirror kind of upbringing, in the sense that like playing sports and stuff, especially like, in Daytona, it's like I was always one of the few white kids on the team and stuff. So it was always, so that's why like, I don't know if that's why, but I have a passion for hip hop, and like when I'm around people,
the phrase passion for hip hop,
but I'm cutting all this out, but you understand what I'm saying. Like, it's weird because there's certain things that I do or say, and I realize like, oh, people probably think I'm being a dick. But that's just like how...
Yeah, like the kids who... Like, there's a couple of kids that I'm friends with now, but like back in high school and middle school, people would always be like, oh yeah, they're the wigger kid. Like, they just play sports and hang out with black people. But like, growing up, it's like, no, they just played sports and hung out with black people. It's not like they were trying to be cool, they were trying to be something else. It's
that's
like,
the thing, it's like...
They just played sports, and that's what you do when you want to make friends with the people you're always around.
Yeah, because I have some material, and you've heard it, but like... If I do it in a room that's mostly white, everyone tenses up, and I'm like, "Wait, this is fun." Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And then I did it like at Aromas, and people were like one dude like fell out of his seat, and I was like, "Oh, this is funny." It's just my brain is so, and I talk about this on my sports podcast with my co-host Joe in Atlanta, because I'll run stuff by. I'm like, can I say this? And not in like
give me permission kind of
thing.
But
I do it almost as like, because I don't want to be insensitive, but I don't have that. You know what I mean? Like that barrier in my brain, because it's like we used to dick around about this stuff all the time. Like growing up playing sports and in the locker room, and like even when I was in jail, like I would make jokes and make everybody laugh. So it's like I don't have that.
I feel like that's where the kind of the culture, that cancel culture is coming from, is a lot of people who talk like that had those circles and kind of can understand like, no, I wasn't in your locker room, but I can get, like, my locker room is pretty cool, and I can see how all you, like, I could get it.
Yeah.
But, like, people who didn't do that, they're like, do they think that's okay?
Yeah, like, I have that joke about being in jail and the whole thing about Tyrone, and that was his name. We're friends on Facebook, and I've had people come up to me after shows and be like, you shouldn't use the name Tyrone. And I go, what? And they go, that's racist. I go, that's his name. You're assuming he's black. That's his name. Like, we're friends on, like, I'm a storyteller.
Right.
That's the story.
Yeah.
And I've had people, and like you said, like, I just don't even think about it.
Right, yeah.
But it's these people who have never been in that situation, never been in jail, never been around a group of different people, and they're like, that's going to offend somebody. And it's like, well...
No, it really doesn't.
Yeah, like what?
Everyone's pretty cool about it if you're just cool about it.
Yeah, like, and I didn't even say, like, you're the one who made all these assumptions as soon as you heard that.
Yeah.
No, man, let's get off the political talk.
But no, I do like, I don't know, one thing, it's kind of a weird side note, but like one thing that I do enjoy about, I think, comedy in general is everyone's personal take on it. Whether you're fresh to comedy or great at comedy or bombing or crushing, I'm the kind of person who's going to sit through the entire show and appreciate every single person's kind of thing as they go through, because it's everyone's kind of personal journey of like what they're going through at the time. Like maybe they're working on stuff like, damn, he is kind of working on some shit. Like I didn't need that last week. Or like everyone's kind of going through this shit and damn, that bit didn't even work. Like, damn, this one crushed this time. Or damn, he's really kind of not writing anymore. But everyone kind of has that different kind of shit.
That's what you say about me every time I do a show.
Nah. There are certain people where like,
they have the same 5.
They have the same 5, and it's frustrating. It's just frustrating to watch.
Yeah.
Especially back in the day, like the Rain Dog days, where I'm like, damn, this is gonna be the same 15 minutes because you're gonna do the same 5. Call up your friends, gonna do the same 5.
Yeah.
And they're gonna do the same 5.
When we talk about this all the time, it's funny because as much as I try to write, I'm constantly like, I've got the whiteboard in here, I've got notebooks everywhere. I'm always writing. But it's weird because, like, sometimes you get on the stage and you try it once and it just does not touch anything resembling relatability or laughter.
Right.
And you're like, I'm never fucking doing that again.
But it goes to like that's the ultimate question I always have is this not funny, or did I not do it right?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Like,
that's beautiful.
Damn it! Like I don't know.
Yeah,
it could be a little bit of both. It could be a lot of one, and a little bit of the other. But maybe I do it again and it's not funny. It's like, it seems a lot to be like, it's just not funny.
Yeah.
But then I'll try it one more time and it's just like, I got to chuckle.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you play this game of like, this joke isn't good, but it's just good enough for me to feel like, to not let it go.
Well, and that's the reason why sometimes like I'll keep doing the same kind of like dark material or like material that's a little violent or something that doesn't play because I'm like, I know that there's something here.
Either I need to put it before something or after something, but I know there's something.
I know that this is funny and I just need to figure out like the whole thing I have about like, why is it when you die for a cause you're a martyr, but when you kill yourself over an ex you're a psycho? Like to me that's hilarious. In my brain,
I like that one too. I like the setup now that you're doing with the suicide one, and then what are you following up with it right afterward? You do the suicide with your uncle, and then you do the fucking... It's another bit you do right after it, but they pair well together. You did it as the opener when that lady heckled you. You said you did the one, and then you did the one right after it.
Oh, heroin dick pic.
Yes, the heroin dick pic, because it's like, okay,
that's
is what we're
I thought
doing.
You were talking about, but I was like...
Yeah, it's like, this is what we're doing, and this is a level up, and I kind of like what we're doing.
Yeah.
So, like, they follow each other well. Like, it's like a tick.
Well, that's why I do the, like, I did it at Rain Dogs. I was like, oh, let's do some dark material. You guys want to get dark? And everyone cheers. And I go, everyone always cheers when I say that.
And that's a good segue. They're like, dude, that's a good catch on, like, good little interject, seems natural, going right into, bam, we're right into it.
And then we go right into it, and then we go right into the next one, and then people start to groan, and I go, you were on board!
Right, it's like a setup, we brought it back, it's like a nice chunk, like...
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, that one I like, but it's weird. I don't even know how we got on this topic again, but it is, what you were saying about, it is interesting watching other comedians, because there are certain things, like I said, like that new joke you wrote about, I'm not going to burn it on the show, but the new joke you wrote about the situation, the basketball thing. And dude, as soon as you did I'll be there in a second. No, you won't. I fucking died. Like fell out of my chair. And like I had to, like at CBD, I had to go to the back because I was laughing so hard. But it was weird because like not a lot, but it's like you're saying, it's like there's different ebbs and flows, and certain things can be funny, but they're not funny to everybody. Because I've done clubs with like Marcus and Morgan, like Clam Jam stuff, and they'll crush. You know, Marcus is obviously a head and shoulders a better comic than I am, and Morgan has a completely different style than I do. So we've done shows before where she's crushed and I've ate a dick, and I've done shows where I've crushed and she's done okay. But it's this weird, like, we're all three, like Marcus and I are very similar, but her and I are so different in our style and our
sometimes
delivery.
You both can't hit.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's so weird how it's like, and I say that in the suicide bit, it's so subjective.
It is. That's why it's a high risk, high reward, especially when you front load it.
Yeah.
Because it's a very, without you having to explain kind of a lot of who you are, I feel like it gives you likability while also setting a tone.
There was there was a stretch where I was opening with both of those. Like bang bang, like here we go.
Yeah, it's just a good like set the tone, but it's also high risk because it's like If you don't like dark, you just don't.
You lose the whole room.
Yeah,
I've lost
very
entire
early.
rooms in my first 2 jokes.
Yeah, and then it's like you can tell when it's like 3 minutes in, now you're getting desperate and you're trying to like, you want to work on stuff, but now you don't feel confident enough to work on it. We're just doing old stuff, and it's like you just kind of.
Well, and that's the thing. That's what we were talking about, writing and stuff. It's sometimes it's hard too, and I don't know if you feel this way, but I need to get over like doing it for comics, because there's sometimes where like I'll do Aromas on Tuesday, then I'll do Justice Pub on Wednesday. But I'm working on a brand new 5 at Aromas, then or 5 or 10 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working like all brand new bits at Aromas. Then I'm gonna do all those same brand new bits. I'm gonna try them at Justice. So then by Thursday at CBD, I'm like, I don't like it's
want to do this set
It's
again.
the same 6 comics. Like they've heard this 3 times. Like I don't want to do it again.
That was one of the things when I started off with everybody, kind of that all of the Jacksonville comics. I didn't realize that would be a thing. I thought like. And I'm a prideful person.
Yeah.
So I don't want to not disappoint you is the bad word to use, but I don't want you to think that I'm not trying.
Yeah, you don't want to
you've
meet
heard-
expectations.
Right. So it's like, damn it, Brennan's here. Like, oh, man. That's why sometimes I'll hate when other comics show up. Like, okay, I'm going to fucking Justice. I'll be the first one there.
Yeah.
And then like you and Marcus come like, damn, I can't do that shit.
Yeah.
I got to do new stuff. And it's like, it's good and bad because like I do need to work on new stuff, but it's also like, damn it, I kind of wanted to work that out, but I don't want them to hear the same thing they just heard me do at Rain Dogs, at this place, and now we're all kind of here. But like, there's that dichotomy of like, I do need to get a tighter 5. I'm not going to get it tighter by just kind of mixing it up all the time.
Well, and that's the other thing too, is that like when you go into situations where you're like, all right, I'm going to work on all new material, but that's good. But then like in my situation, I have a lot of half-baked, like underdeveloped bits, like a lot. Like a lot of like the Viagra story, the OnlyFans, jerking off when I was like 15 on like that, like those are all bits. The testicle story about the enlarged like those are all bits that I've done like 2 or 3 times, and they've gotten a big enough laugh to where I'm like, oh, I'll just throw that in the set list. Like I'll throw that, I've got the whole list of all my jokes, so I'm like, oh, I'll throw it in there, and if I ever need to pull it out, I can pull it out. But it's like, yeah, but you haven't worked on that since. You haven't tightened it up. You haven't added more tags. You haven't even really thought about that since the last time you did it and got a laugh. So really, it's like you're saying, it's like, yeah, but I don't want to. You guys, everyone in the scene has heard the story about how I had an enlarged testicle and the story I tell about it. Like everyone's heard it like 2 or 3 times now. Like I don't need to keep doing it. But it's actually counterproductive. Right, yeah. There are times I'll do the scar story and people still laugh at it. And everyone's heard that 1,000 times. Yeah. But like if I'm doing a showcase and I'm trying to show off, like that's my go-to closer.
It's a great close, yeah.
And so a lot of times, like there are still times where like you or Baker or like Zach or Marcus will like laugh. And it's mainly because of the response of the audience is brand new.
I like, the one thing I do like about hearing them is there's different subtleties that you'll play into. Yeah, that's why like the first thing I remember about that bit is the shirt, because I love that tag in it, like bedazzled rhino. It's just like the whole act out.
Mark Gecko shirt with the bedazzled rhino.
It's just such a graphic, like, oh my god,
high fashion.
Yeah, like it's just such a like a good. So it's like there's certain parts of it that like even though I know this bit, that part's always gonna get me. Yeah, like there's certain parts, then like maybe you'll mix it up and like add a part, and I'm like, oh, that kind of works. Or like you'll hear somebody like say something dumb back to you from the crowd, and they're like, I'm definitely adding that next time. Yeah. So it's like the little
that
stuff.
happened at CBD. Yeah.
Yeah, so like you'll
I got
feel
heckled
it,
and I like leaned into my phone. I was like, mark that down.
Yeah. So like there's different things where like you're gonna do the same bits, but that's where I feel like if you're doing the same 5. And I can feel you working it out, it still feels kind of fresh.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas if I feel you're doing the same 5 and last week it didn't hit and this week it didn't hit, and I can tell you your set
I know
list,
exactly who you're talking about.
I know how you're setting it up.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, it's just, it doesn't mean that you're, I don't know. It's just, because I never feel like everyone can be funny. If you're doing comedy, you can be funny. You felt confident enough to tell your jokes in front of people, but I just don't think you're that funny.
The way I always word it is there are comedians and then there are people who do comedy.
Yeah, I'd say it like that. Yeah, that's because it is one of those. It's one of those things, and I almost try to do like a riff on it on stage one time. Comedy is the one things where like if you tell a joke one time, your friends are like, you're a comedian. But it's not like if you do anything else. Like if I surfed one time, it's not your friends like, oh, you're a surfer now. Yeah. No, you're just a guy who's learning how to surf. but everyone thinks like, oh, you went to an open mic, so you're a funny guy, you're a comedian.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not really.
That's not how that works.
That's not how it works.
Well, and Baker, and I know the audience probably hates it because I bring this up all the time, but Baker said it's like karaoke. There are some people who do it and take it super seriously and want to hone their craft at singing and get better at singing. And then there are people who get drunk with their friends and are like, hey, this will be fun. Let's go up there and fucking be silly.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with, especially, I mean, obviously with open mics, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's funny because there are people like you and me and Zach and Marcus and all of us who are like in the scene, who are doing shows, who are like starting podcasts, who are like pushing and pushing and pushing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because like I saw Zach at a show a couple weeks ago, and I was like, "Oh, are you going up?" Because it's just an open mic. And he goes, "No, you're not going up." He goes, "I don't have anything that I'm working on, so like no." And I was like, "That's exactly what I'm talking about. Like you don't." Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to be like, I'm going to go up there.
Just because
I
feel like I'm entitled enough. Cause
yeah, it'd be one thing if there was like a big crowd and everyone's having a great time. You're like, fuck yeah, I'm going to go
out on this.
Yeah. But exactly. I don't want to, maybe I could get this recorded. But if it's like, 6 or 7 people, everyone's kind of like, the room's kind of like, okay. It's like, yeah, why am I going to waste everyone's time? Like, I don't have anything new.
Yeah.
And that was the first time, and this was a couple weeks ago, but that was the first time when I thought like, oh, I can go to mics and not go up, like just to go and hang out. Like if I don't have anything I desperately want to try, or even anything I want to work on, like you said, even if it's old, but I want to work on it, I don't have to go up there and do the same set for the same, 12 people.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to do. And it was so weird that I've been doing this on and off now for 11 years. And it took Zach being like, yeah, I don't have anything new. And I was like, oh my God.
No,
that's genius.
Yeah, I have a weird like a museum analogy of like the reason I like going to the museum is because it's not because the art changes. The museums is the same art the whole fucking time, but every time you go, you're a different person.
Oh,
like
that's
you're
true.
older, you're kind of seeing things different. You went through a breakup, you watch this new TV show, and that's what changes. So like you'll see somebody do the same bit, but like, damn, I did get pulled over in traffic the other day, so I'm really connecting with this shit now.
Yeah.
Or damn, I was drunk driving last night, so him making that DUI, I think, damn, thank God. Like,
Yeah.
it's just different ways that it hits, like depending on where you're at in your life. To where like you could have had an argument with your boss, and you're like, I'm not really even trying to laugh tonight. I'm just going to this show. Or you just fucking hit a fucking scratch off, and I'm just feeling good, dude. I'm just kind of giggly right now.
And that's why it's so crazy. Is like, and I tell this about working in a restaurant. It's like you don't know how that person's day is going. Like, so if someone comes in and they're just not going to laugh at a show, it's like, yeah, maybe like he got dragged out to the show with his friends, or maybe he thought like, I'm having such a shitty day, I want to go see something that's going to make me laugh. But he's going to look like or he or she's going to look like an asshole to start.
And then tomorrow and be like, dude, it was a funny show last night. But they look miserable the whole time.
How many times have we had people come up to us after shows that did not laugh? We thought hated it, and they're like, man, that was great.
Hey, you're pretty good, man. It's
yeah.
Like, oh shit.
And it's like what?
Yeah. Those are sometimes the best though, when you're just kind of shooting your shit with your friends and somebody walks by. Hey, you were good, man. Oh, you saw that?
Yeah. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. Climbing balconies. Is this another?
This is a bad one. This is one of the ones I'm not very proud of. This is one of the times where I got like seriously arrested.
Oh, so this kind of works for multiple.
Yeah,
things.
this is on multiple levels. So this was in college. It was drinking with some buddies. We went out clubbing. We were supposed to go to an after party, and kind of all the apartment complexes in FSU were like big, like almost like compounds. Like there's a bunch of like 20 buildings. They're fucking 4 stories tall. They're just kind of all of them are different names. They're just big.
Is this on campus or off campus?
Off, like down everything. FSU is very close, so like everything is like 5-minute drive from campus. But the club is like pretty close to campus. We're going to this after party, and I think I get there early or I get there late. I was kind of drunk, and I remember seeing a bike on a balcony that was on the ground level. Mm-hmm. And broke college kid. I was kind of just doing hot boy shit at the time anyway. Like I was college. So I remember jumping the balcony, grabbing the bike, putting it in my car, taking it home.
Oh, fucking shitty, man.
Yeah, shit balls. Just asshole shit. Took it home. I was like, okay, no one's really hit me up about this after. I went to the place for the after party.
Yeah.
Nobody was there yet. I was like, bike.
But it's all like 5 minutes away.
Yeah, I was like, bike. All right, I'm just taking that home. Boom. Took it home, got back to the place. Waiting there. Nobody's hit me up still. I'm like, all right, fuck, man. I'm kind of drunk now. I look up, and there's another bike on the second story.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So there's another bike on the second story, and I'm looking. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Ding, ding.
So like I
ding.
start climbing, get to the first one, climb up the balcony. When I get to the ledge to like get onto the second story balcony, I'm thinking like, how the fuck am I gonna get this bike down? And then like I start climbing down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I get in my car and I pass out.
Okay.
And then I get a tap on the window from a cop who's like, have you been climbing balconies? So it turns out I climbed this balcony and like the 4 roommates were just watching TV on the couch.
So they saw you.
And they just saw me climb up the balcony, get up, look over, and then climb back down. But they called the cops. I'm like, yeah, he climbed down. He's sitting in his car right now.
Oh my God, this took a different turn than I thought it was.
So
honestly, I completely forgot the fact that you said that you got arrested and got in trouble in this story. And when you're like, I climbed back down, I was like, oh, okay. So you stole one bike, you know.
Right.
That's a happy ending. And then I forgot about this.
Still get arrested. So I don't take that bike.
But I get. Oh my God, they all see you.
Yes, all of them saw me.
Because you're an in-shape guy, so it's like, what is this?
Yeah, what is this black guy doing?
Black man doing outside of my window?
And then just climbed down and just went in his car and he hasn't moved. They were just like, yeah, they said they were in your car. And I just woke up like, what the fuck are y'all talking? Like I was drunk. I was like, what are y'all talking about? No, I wasn't climbing. I wasn't doing this. Like, no. And like deny.
Counter accuse.
Yeah,
you were climbing balconies.
Got arrested.
So what did the cop do?
I got arrested for trespassing of an easement or like. If it's a covered space, it's trespassing if you get on. If they would have had a balcony that was open, I wouldn't have gotten in trouble because I didn't break their property line.
Okay.
But since it was a covered space, some technicality were like it was something different. So like I didn't take anything, but I got caught for trespassing. So I go to jail, get arrested. Parents are called, all this other shit.
Why are your parents called?
Because I need to get bailed out of jail.
Oh, you called them.
Yeah, I'm in jail.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm in jail right now.
I understand that.
You get one phone call, call my parents.
It's interesting you say that because my relationship with my parents is a little different. So when I got arrested, it was like, this sucks.
No,
and I just
when I got arrested,
all
all my friends were at the after party drunk. So I was like, I'm not calling them.
Well, I didn't have anybody. I just didn't. I was just like, I guess I'm sitting here now because it's one of those things where you don't have your cell phone, so you have to think of the numbers you remember.
And nobody remembers numbers anymore.
Exactly. And the only number I remembered was my mom's. But I was like, I have a great relationship with my mom, and I did at the time. But I was like, I don't want to call her about this.
This isn't the one I want to use.
And I'm not calling my dad. Like I'm not. Like him and I've talked about it on the show. We have a good relationship now, but we had a rocky relationship in the past. And I was like, looks like I'm sitting in jail. Looks like this is it. I love how you're like, my parents to get bailed out.
What are you talking? I'm not going to be. So like
I was like, I didn't have that luxury.
I think I spent like a day and a half, 2 days in jail. I remember
watching
the All-Star game, like the Heat versus the Celtics. I remember not the All-Star game, the playoffs, the NBA playoffs in jail. I remember like very distinct things of like, I'm never coming back here again. Yeah. Like gave my food away, like all the other shit. I snuck like mail out for some guy. Like shouldn't have done that. Like just doing dumb stuff. But I remember when I got
the first time I was ever in jail.
You're kind of in a daze and you're like coming to.
Same thing. People are just like, hey, can you do this? And you just think like, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sure, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
So that was happening. But like I remember the funny part was me getting home from being arrested and walking into my apartment and seeing the first bike I stole. And being like, I'm not even fucking arrested for this.
Oh my God.
Like, it was like literally like I walked in through it and like ran back out the door. So did
your parents have to come up to Tallahassee to get you out?
Yeah. It was terrible.
Oh, so you...
Yeah, that was one of the things, like, I have dreads now, but, like, I had shoulder-length dreads when I got arrested, and my mom was like, yeah, the dreads are gone. Like, there's no more. Like, you're not doing any of the hot boy shit anymore. Like, this is over. Yeah, this is over for you. So, like, I had to cut my hair, like... It was definitely like.
What ended up happening? Because it's obviously you were arrested, then you were
arrested.
Out, so like, what happened with court and everything?
Went to court, I think it was like guilty without adjudication or something. Ended up bitten on probation. Ended up doing work camp work camp. I had like 72 hours of work camp, which is basically like you report to like the jail, you go put on stripes, and then you go do like yard work or manual labor or something for like 10 hours. And you need to get to sucking like 70. I think I had like more than that because I remember doing it for like a long ass time. And I only did like twice a week or something.
So they really came down on you.
Yeah.
This sounds like it seems like how long were you on probation?
A year.
Fuck you.
Dude, it was fucking brutal.
I got less. I mean, my fine was probably a lot higher, but I got less as far as like punishment for my second DUI.
Oh, that's terrible to hear. But yeah,
So,
I got fucking hammered.
as I said it, I was like, they're right. The system is broken.
Yeah, I got fucked, and then that happened. I ended up like doing all my shit, finally getting it sealed, finally putting it behind me. But I remember like that being one of those like, man, I really hope I don't have to tell the story to my kid. Like this is one of those like,
God,
not one of my brightest moments.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and that's so shitty because like it's like that just is fucking like you didn't even. I mean, technically you did something, but it's like.
And the irony was like, this is what I did. The bike in my fucking living room.
Yeah.
Which I ended up selling later just spitefully. Like, I just got to get rid of this bitch. Like, and sold it.
Yeah.
But like, I was just like, I got greedy. And I went back. And then, yeah.
God. But that's, I mean, I could see it from both sides. Like, I'm sure those kids were like, there's a guy that was just like in our balcony, like, call the police. But I can also see it from like, yeah, he's drunk doing fucking hot boy shit. Like, leave him alone.
Yeah.
Like, chill the fuck out.
Yeah, I didn't take it. I was like, oh, shit. But yeah, that ended up going on.
Damn, man. That's
kept
excessive punishment.
Yeah, almost got me kicked out of school because like somehow like, that was the issue. They went to FSU too.
Okay.
So it got caught up in like the universities now like involved in this like
man, university has no business.
It was like a
involved.
civil thing between us. And, like now we couldn't have any classes together and like you can't be seeing each other.
They
on campus.
pursued it like that?
Yeah, and they're like, we might have to like not have you be at FSU anymore. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
That's
like it got pretty serious before like it mellowed out, but it was pretty scary.
Yeah, that's insane. That's like when you I know I've made this reference before. Have you ever seen the movie Boondock Saints?
Yeah.
You know, they get into the bar fight and then the guys come to their apartment with guns and stuff. But it's like that line. It's like, it was a fucking bar fight. Like,
yeah, like
I was just climbing a balcony. Like, chill the fuck out.
Like, this is not this serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Trying to get people expelled and shit. Well, speaking of FSU, you had college no weight on here. What is that?
Oh, so in college, me and my buddies, when freshman year, we kind of were like, dude, we're fucking loose.
Yeah.
We all live in
Hot boy
Jacksonville.
shit,
yeah,
man.
we're going out there. We're going out every single night except for Monday, and we're playing FIFA and like eating Chef Boyardee on Monday and sleeping.
Yeah.
But like every other night, we went out. But like my thing was, I refused to wait in any line.
Okay.
Anywhere we ever went to.
Okay.
Like, people knew me as like, Dean's gonna get in somehow.
Yeah.
So like whenever we'd pull up, we'd pregame.
He'll climb up a balcony if he has to.
So many plays just climbing over the fence to VIP. It got to where the point like I was going to places and they're like, you can just come in. Because like the bouncers, like they would just be like, dude, you can just come in. Because like I would literally like, there's a place Potbelly's that's not there anymore in Tallahassee. But, like if you went there like pre 2014, like Potbelly's like a prominent on campus like bar / club.
Yeah.
Fucking jump in the bushes, climbing the second story balcony, going up like the where they keep the kegs stairs. Like I figured out every single way to get into these places that like I just remember it being like a drunk pride. Like as soon as we started pregame and I was like, I'm gonna get drunk enough to I don't give a fuck and I'm gonna get in this motherfucker.
Yeah.
And, like I always managed to get in, and then like 30 minutes later, like my friends would walk up to the bar and be like, oh, what the fuck took you so long?
Yeah. So I'm assuming because it's a college town, like there would be massive lines.
Yeah, everywhere. But that's the thing about like what I loved about Tallahassee is there's FSU, TCC, and FAMU.
Yeah, I was gonna say
so
FAMU's
the whole
like right
place is kind of overrun by young people.
Yeah.
So like there's a young person bouncer, there's a young person bartender, there's a young person drink people. Like everyone's kind of. It's not like there's adults that we're worried about.
Yeah.
Like everyone's kind of
Neverland.
Cool. Yeah, it's literally Neverland.
All the adults are pirates.
There's
we
no
kill
drinking
pirates.
age. Like you're freshmen at the bar. Like there's a problem with that in general. Like there's just you can do whatever you want. So like, after a while, it's just kind of like as long as no one's dying or overdosing, that's just kind of
let's let it ride. Yeah,
it's just we're drinking, we're having fun. Like let him do his thing. Like it was tough. I mean, it was one of those things where like. You had to get it out of your system to come back and be like, yeah, I'm glad I got it out of my system.
Yeah, like the Rumspringer for the Amish people.
What is that?
You know about Rumspringer?
No.
So when they're, I think, between 16 and 18, they get a sabbatical from the Amish community. It's called Rumspringer. And so you basically are allowed to go out into the world. I'm not looking any of this up, but this is just from movies I've watched and things I've heard. But you're allowed to go out into the world and experience whatever you want to experience for a year or two. And then you have to decide
when you're 18 if you want to come back.
If you want to come back.
How often do they come back?
I have no idea.
That's the real number.
Yeah.
That's.
I think it'd be like you're saying, like, especially because sometimes there's a documentary on this, but they were talking about how like they'll be at the property line. They'll be like drug dealers and all sorts of people like, let's get them.
Oh, as they're coming
as
out.
they're coming out. So I would assume if that's the case, it can go sideways real quick. As someone who's battled with addiction and stuff, I could see that
especially
going.
being in a sheltered life.
Yeah, I
and
could
just
see that
being-
going sideways real quick. So I'm sure they come back. And it's family. Like imagine if someone was like, "Yeah, you can leave, but you can never get to see your parents again."
Right.
Like, that'd be like
it'd be tough for a
you
16-year-old.
don't come back on the weekends. Like that's it.
Yeah,
You're
it's not a
done.
30-year-old who's lived their life and like, I don't really need them.
Yeah.
It's like, I still kind of like my parents.
Yeah. But yeah, there's like drug dealers and stuff that sit right on the property line, and it's fucked up. Dealing drugs can be kind of dangerous sometimes. I like that. That's
That was good.
That's professional.
That was good.
You had just stopped selling drugs as a note.
Yeah.
Was that you or
It
were
was
you?
me in high school. I used to
Dean.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm a life enthusiast.
We said to open the show.
Yeah, I feel like I'll try anything twice. Just because once you never know. It could be a fluke. But
It's like a joke. You got to keep going.
yeah, but I remember it was in high school. I went to Mandarin. There's a lot of like developing areas in Mandarin, so they're always building new apartment complexes.
Yeah.
And I remember finding a new apartment complex that was being developed, but all the roads had been laid and all the plots had been cleared.
Okay.
So like you could go back there and kind of duck away and go through the woods a little bit. So like I'd been doing it for a couple of weeks, and I remember one time getting like maybe four or five of my buddies together. We're like, hey, we're gonna go back in the woods and like smoke and chill and fuck around. And it was back when I was selling like kind of heavily for a high school kid, but like I was kind of dumb about because I had a shoebox. It was a pair of Kobe's that I had. It was a shoebox, and I called it my Savage Pack.
Kobe.
And I had like
My Savage Pack.
it was weird. I had it written in sharpened on the other side, but I had like a bong, scale, all my weight in there, all my fucking like pipe, blunts.
Is this just weed?
Yeah, there was just weed at the time.
Okay.
Like they had brought other stuff, but what I had in there was just weed at the time. So we went in there, and I remember having a bunch of weed, and I remember going into the back of the neighborhood where no one's supposed to be at.
Yeah.
And when I make this kind of blind turn, it's like you have to make a left, and there's the cul-de-sac is what we're going to hang out at. And as I make the blind turn, the cop is facing at the cul-de-sac, facing the turn. Like, you can't turn around. Like, it's very obviously what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, like, I make the left, and I'm like, that car's not supposed to be there. Boom, like, turns
Oh
his
my
headlights
God.
on. So it's like, oh, okay, you see the yellows in between the whites.
Yeah.
That's not good. So, like, I'm like, all right, we kind of just got to act normal.
We're checking out the area,
Yeah,
officer.
we're just thinking about buying. And then so we make a U-turn. As soon as we turn our back to him, he flicks the lights on and pulls us over.
Yeah.
Like back in the neighborhood. And I remember he pulled us all out of the car, and it was the cop from the school. So like he kind of knew like kind of our faces around. And I remember he like it was terrible. I had everything in the bag, and I remember he pulled everybody out. The car smells like weed. We'd already kind of been smoking. We went back there to like do shit. The car smells like weed. Gets everybody out of the car. Puts everybody's hands on the hood, and it was kind of like a movie moment where like everyone's eyes are facing each other.
Yeah.
And everyone's kind of looking with their head down, trying not to make eye contact with the cop. And he goes, "So whose stuff is this?" And like everyone kind of like starts peeking up and like looking around, like, "Are we saying shit? Like, what's going on? Are we doing this?
What are we doing?
Yeah,
what are we
like,
doing? What are we doing?
Fuck.
I don't know.
And
I don't know.
And I just remember driving like, oh fuck, it's mine. And like I remember it taking
Oh,
like
you took the bullet for everybody?
Yeah, it was like kind of like it took a while. It was kind of like a little like silent moment where I was like, oh,
It's a car ride home kind of thing.
Yeah, it was definitely
Took a minute.
Yeah, it took a second. Yeah, and I remember saying it's mine, and he pulls me out, and like kind of we go to the back of the car, and I remember he tells like, where is it? And I pull it out, and like,
Oh, so he didn't even find it.
no, this was back when like he knew where we were. We had all been like hotboxing. It was very clear.
Yeah.
like and then
But
he
he
recognized
didn't have
us.
anything in his
No,
hand and
he
say,
didn't
whose
have
is
anything.
this?
No,
But you guys aren't looking.
the context of the story is like he knows we smoke, and he's like,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
a school
yeah.
officer.
So
like,
he says,
knows us.
who, yeah, but so he says, whose is this? And you're just like, it's mine.
Right, yeah. So I'm like, it's mine. We go to the back, and I end up getting the box out, and I remember opening the box and being like,
It's not a box, Dean. It's a Savage Pack.
It's a Savage Pack. It's a Savage Pack. I remember him chuckling, being like, "This is like." I remember him just being like, I remember him chuckling when I opened the box and being like, "Oh, this is bad." Like I opened it.
He laughed at you and
Did
said,
not
this
like
is
laugh,
bad.
but like I remember him like opening it and him just being like, just like I cannot believe this motherfucker.
This
Just-
is- yeah.
just this idiot just has it all in one spot.
Yeah.
Just fucking open it.
Oh, pile of evidence.
And I look at the thing and I look at him, and he's like, y'all know y'all are in so much trouble, right? And I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah.
And like it was one of those turning moments because I realized that as it was happening, he was like, "Get the weed," and I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Get the weed," and like I picked up the 2 bags, and he was like, "Sprinkle it out over there," and like he got me to sprinkle out like 4 ounces of just like pretty good nugs, just kind of just out into the grass, and I was just like, "Fuck." Okay, but I'm not getting in trouble right now. I'm sprinkling weed. You can't go back and catch me for weed. This is good. It's like I'm sprinkling the weed, and like I put the weed out, and then he's like, "All right, grab the bong," and like I grabbed it, and it was kind of like a hefty piece, like about the size of the shoebox. It fit in there pretty snug, and I grabbed it, and I picked it up, and as soon as I cleared my like trunk, he just hit it with Maglite, like bing, 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 like Maglite that like it felt like just sugar glass.
Really?
Like it broke so easy. I remember like almost wanting to shed a tear how easily it broke. It was like ching, ching, ching. That's not yours anymore. Bam. Like 200. I think I bought it like 2 days before at the flea market. So it was like bing, bing, bing. $200 gone. Not like
damn.
Yeah, I was like, that's gone. And I was like,
I've been hit with one of those Maglites.
Oh yeah, I was like, damn. I remember thinking like, damn, that's a fucking legit Maglite.
Yeah, they hurt.
And then
they hurt like a bitch.
Yeah. And then she's like, put the box on the ground, and he was like, stomp out the box. And I was like,
not the savage pack.
Yeah, like I remember like stepping on it. It's like, no, like stomp it out, like break the scale. And like I remember like stomping on it, and then him.
You were just kind of like trying to like.
Yeah, like I'm gonna come back. Like I remember thinking as he broke the light, I was like, I'm not getting in trouble. I'm coming back.
Yeah.
So I remember putting the thing on the ground and kind of like stepping on it and be like, no, break the scale. And he was like, I stepped on it like pretty hard. And then he like brought me back to the front and talked to everybody. He's like, guys, like what the fuck are y'all doing? Like what are y'all doing back here? Like. Y'all can't be doing this. Like, and he like called out like some of the guys who played on the basketball team. Was like, you play on the basketball team? Like,
yeah,
I know you're a good kid. Like, it was kind of just like random people. So he was like, dude, I know you guys. Y'all are good kids. Like, y'all can't be doing this shit.
Dude,
and
that's
like,
awesome that he cut you with that.
Yeah, he cut us. Like, if it wouldn't have been the school officer and like knowing who we were, I probably would have gotten in way more trouble.
Yeah,
but like that was a spot.
Well, that was that would have been your life. 4 ounces, you would have been away for 20 years.
Yeah, that's why I remember being like, I'm not selling drugs anymore. I remember I continued to do drugs and have fun, but I was never the guy with weight ever again. Because I was always like the guy. Look at
that. This is an inspirational story.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's full circle.
Full circle.
Yeah.
All right, we gotta have you back because you had a couple more on there, but I want to end on that super bright,
awesome,
happy note.
Awesome.
See, not everyone's terrible. I mean, the first cops were with the balcony situation.
Oh man, it's college, dude. They probably ran through kids like me.
Yeah.
Like FSU, Tallahassee cops, years of kids feeling like they're the big guy on campus.
Who I am.
Like,
yeah.
They probably were sick and tired of kids like me by then,
dude. Oh man, but we ended on a good note.
Yeah, we did. It was fun, dude.
I'm glad you came on. Thank you so much, man. This was a lot of fun. This seemed like it. Sometimes I do episodes and I'm like, come on, like we're only at 20 minutes. This actually flew by.
It did.
Plug everything one more time. The podcast you got coming up. Any dates you have coming up? This will come out next week. So.
Yeah. The Relatables podcast on Instagram. We'll be changing the branding, but always go to the Relatables podcast. Dean Nimock on Instagram, DeanNimmock, and then Jaron Nimock on Facebook if you're over the age of 40. There's nothing really going on Facebook, but hit me up on Instagram. Nothing coming up yet, but with stuff opening and mics coming back out, definitely try to come out to some Jacksonville open mics.
Hell yeah.
Keep the ear out for some showcases. It's going to be a fun year.
Fuck yeah, it is. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening. Again, you can follow me on all social media at Brennan T Comedy. Check out the website, brennantcomedy.com, for upcoming dates. Thank you just for listening, just for being a part of this. Subscribe, rate, and review. Tell your friends. You podcast more than I do. Did I hit all the notes?
Of course you did. Seamlessly.
Thank you so much for coming on, Dean.
And
thank you all so much for listening. We'll talk to you all next week.